This podcast was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Fortunately for us, the WGA seems to have reached a tentative agreement with AMTPT. However, SAG-AFTRA has not yet. So please continue to support the Entertainment Community Fund. You'll find the link in the show notes. Thanks. High Queen Morghese of Andor has issued the following proclamation. The following discussion will include spoilers from the Wheel of Time books by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. We ask that you read those books so that our discussion does not spoil you. You have been warned, so it is written, so shall it be done. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special dispensation here in the fact that Bubba has joined us. Coach T will also be joining us. We've heard that he has a book reader rampage. Unbelievable. Can't wait to hear what that's going to be about. But I am interested to hear. Bubba, normally you're not here. Folks, if you're still here and you haven't read all of the books, if you don't mind being spoiled, as Bubba's about to spoil you with an actual account of what happened to Lanfear one time, then, if you don't want to be spoiled, get out of here. If you want to be spoiled, you're more than welcome to stick around. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you that you must go away, because maybe, the YouTube will pop up another ad somewhere in here and Bubba will get just that much more money, which is why he wants to stick around now and give us what, Bubba? What are you giving us?
So I don't know if you know this. Brandon Sanderson wasn't the first choice to finish the Wheel of Time books after the tragic passing of Robert Jordan. In fact, they did reach out to George R.R. Martin one time, and he did write this initial chapter. Now, you ready? Okay, so.
Of course, you would have the secret George R.R. Martin chapters, because the Joffrey of podcasts, also on the Double P Media Network, has all of the Joffrey POVs. Bubba, do you have a Joffrey POV? A never before released Joffrey POV?
Well, once again, this was George R.R. Martin writing the next book in the Wheel of Time series. And I'll have to read it in his voice. Lanfear was very hungry, but not for Rand at this time, but instead for food, because it had been centuries since she ate. So she went and she had her morning meal of quail, duck, pheasant, chickadee, pigeon pie, seagull pie, parrot pie, other birds pie.
Stewed carrots.
Stewed carrots, right. Okay, now that goes on for about 20 pages.
Yeah, I was going to say, skip ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yeah, you're a little late there. Then suddenly Lanfear went to sleep, and she dreamed of someone with golden crown, someone who was always telling Mother what to do, someone who was the true leader of the Seven Kingdoms, who would never run from the Seanchan, but instead take all the Seanchan and cut their tongues out because he was so professional at it. It's His Grace King Joffrey of the Seven Kingdoms. Kingdoms, Lanfear said, that's like, I'm going to need a new pair of boots. So she went to a bootmaker, but that bootmaker was busy eating some fruit, like pears and apples and bananas and grapes and...
Yeah. Skip ahead.
Matt, you are so slow on the skip aheads. I'm going to end it right there, but there you have it. The official 2 paragraphs of George R.R. Martin's continuation of The Wheel of Time.
It was amazing.
Bubba, let me ask you an actual question, or maybe I should ask Catfish this. I have a recording of Catfish saying skip ahead. Can I put that in?
Yes, he's on strike. Totally put it in. Teach him a lesson to quit.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to violate his strike agreement.
Go do it.
Okay.
Violate. I always tell anybody on the street when I'm just walking down the street, violate Catfish. So this would be the perfect response to that.
Perfect.
I've got a whole bumper and everything that I was going to use this season, and I haven't done it because, I don't want his voice being on a podcast promoting a show.
Shameful.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to leave and let you guys do real book talk because I know that's what the fans really want. So you can edit that bit and put it at the end when the listeners have already heard all the wonderful book talk they really enjoy.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So skip ahead to Bubba.
Thank you, Bubba, for this lovely 2 paragraphs.
Such a beautiful story.
Art.
Why can't George be that productive with his writing of?
Right, that would take him, like 12 months to write that much. All right, bye guys. Bye bookies.
Don't forget that we want all of your book thoughts as well. Please send tweets to @BustBlockbuster on X Twitter. You can also send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com. That's MATTS audioblog@gmail.com. And you can check out our videos and leave comments at the Double P Media YouTube. That's youtube.com/media. Their social media is also @PHQ. That's good for Instagram, for Threads, for X Twitter, and Facebook, facebook.com/PHQ. But please don't spoil Bubba too much book-wise. He's trying to maintain a book-free perspective simply for the podcast. It's a great sacrifice considering at the rate that this television show is getting done. He may never, ever get to read the books. Or maybe I can convince him to do so in the next 2 years in the off season, because I think he can definitely finish it by that time. Let's get to Coach T here because he evidently has a book reader rampage. Okay, Coach, are you ready?
Yes, I am. And boy, am I mad.
Book Reader Rampage.
Why were there no Trollocs in Carrion? They did the whole setup with the puppets and everything, and there were supposed to be real Trollocs after that, coming through the foregate, tearing things up and everything. Instead, they just have this Lanfear who just shows up and just goes willy-nilly with fire here and there, easily dispensed with. If they'd had some real Trollocs, like my Trollocs, invading Carrion, you would have seen a whole different outcome. You would have seen death. You would have seen destruction. You would have seen people cut up into little parts. I would have just furious that they didn't include that. It's discrimination. It's this kind of prejudicial exclusion that just drives me absolutely crazy. I mean, am I not someone who is a person too? You can't hire me to do my job. What is going on with that? I don't understand why they just continually, this whole entire season, have kept Trollocs out of the picture. Oh, sure, we got the cold opening of the very first episode just to remind you that we're here. There's no reason for that. I don't want to be throughout the whole season. I want to keep reminding you why I'm fearsome, why I can take care of all of these victims. And they make good Camelin barbecue, but we haven't got the Camelin yet either, which really disturbs me in season 1. I really wanted to go to Camelin and film because Camelin has great barbecue, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I guess that's it. I guess that's all I got.
Okay, Coach. Thank you so much. Priscilla, do you happen to have a book reader rant or anything like that?
A rant? No, I don't.
No rants?
No,
I haven't
no.
done either.
I only had that nitpick that we already discussed twice about Moiraine's age. So
Okay, excellent. What are some topics that you want to talk about regarding this episode? You said you got your mind on this episode. What came to mind for you?
well, we have this whole thing about the prophecies. Now, we start the episode with the prophecy, which we see in the books, right?
Yeah,
The
it's
book
in
you
the
read?
prologue, yeah. Or
Yeah.
in the prequel, pardon me.
So yeah, and I understand it's quite it's a scene that people were in the fandom were looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Hayley Mills play the part of Guitarra. And it was kind of a small scene, I have to say. But I really like the way they just opposed and they made the Aes Sedai guitarra kind of physically feel what Ren's mother was going through. So when she says like the dragon is being born right now, you can see exactly what kind of, especially if you're a woman and you already gave birth, you understand that it's not very pleasant what Guitarra is going through there. And then she dies. But the thing is, we see the mount is not that far away from Tavalon.
No, it's just a little bit to the southwest from what I gather.
So why didn't they go there? So my mind immediately jumped, well, if they know that the dragon is being reborn right now, why they don't go there exactly now?
Here's the funny thing, because they've left the part out of A New Spring, that prequel book, that they do actually go there and look, and they're unable to find him because Tam has already taken him away. So they actually do, but this wasn't covered in the television show, and so I could see how TV only people would be like, "Oh, this is cool," but what the heck does it matter?
And since I didn't read the prequel, so that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
interesting.
That's one of the things. The other thing that I found somewhat interesting was that whole experience of her actually experiencing what Rand's mother was, because that's not really detailed that much in the books either. Basically, this Aes Sedai, who is a foreteller, she has this ability to foretell, and we get guitar. I keep wanting to say guitar because I'm a musician.
Yeah.
But anyway, Guitar Aes Sedai says that she basically just kind of freezes up and then drops dead after she says the things that she says. So I love that they added that kind of experience to it in order to make it feel more connected. I thought that was fantastic myself. But I could see how someone who hasn't read A New Spring would be frustrated by this, because there are other mentions of the prophecy and when it came about and all that in the books, I suppose. But there's not a detailing of it, especially the part about the fact that, Moiraine almost immediately went out and started as soon as, and right there, actually just shortly before that, is when she is actually raised to Aes Sedai. She's still an accepted at that point. And then she's raised to Aes Sedai, and then I guess a couple years pass and then this happens, but it hasn't been that long. So I actually really love the way that they went into this myself, as somebody who has read that. I think it's pretty safe to read this prequel. I don't think it was published until like after book 9. But almost everybody I've talked to say that it's pretty much safe to read after book 5. So if I were you, I'd get through to book 5 real quick, and then read it.
Yeah.
And you'll find a lot of things that were in the first couple of episodes between Moiraine and Lan, like thrown in the pond and stuff that we've mentioned before, in that particular book. And it even gives a nice basis for Moiraine and Swan's relationship, even though it doesn't go specifically in that direction. You can tell it's a deeper friendship than it seems to be in a lot of the other books, I suppose.
Okay. Good.
What else about the prologue? Anything or?
No.
Okay. How about this as a subject? As soon as my doc comes back.
Oh, I have your doc here.
Okay. So I wanted to talk just for a second. I don't want to spoil you too much about this, but you probably already know about traveling and skimming. I talked about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago in a book section that I did that you weren't part of. But that's obviously what Lanfear is doing when she transports Matt, right? Because it's too quick for the ways, in my opinion, unless she's using something like Leandrin did to keep Egwene and Elaine unconscious, and even Nynaeve for most of it, except when Leandrin woke her up. It can't possibly be to Matt that it just seems like it's happening too fast. So I'm suspecting that she's either traveling, which is basically where you just cut a window in the world, and on the other side of that window is the place that you want to go. But it can be very dangerous to do that. Or skimming, which is an in-between space that's kind of like the ways, but you cut a window into it, and then you step onto a platform, and the platform actually moves you to the next place where a window exists that you can step out of. And you can set what that destination is going to be. Those are the two ways that Rand and several Forsaken can travel. In fact, Rand learns it by chasing after a Forsaken in that way. So I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon, maybe in season 3. But I just wanted to point out that, yes, we are quite well aware of traveling that fast, despite me making fun of it with the nitpicks.
Yeah, you mentioned in the last time we spoke that, and you asked me like why did I think that they were not showing, and you said it's not introduced in the books that I was reading.
Right.
So then we came up, or maybe they are not introducing everything in the world, like in the world building at one point. They are like doing this in stages, maybe in the next stage, which
that's an excellent point.
The next season.
Because a lot of this stuff in the books you learn through Rand's perspective. You know, you're made aware of it through Rand or one of our other characters' perspective, but none of our characters have seen Lanfear travel or whatever. So it does make sense that until one of our characters witnesses that kind of thing, then we as viewers are not going to see it, I suppose.
And also, I think they also changed a little bit the dynamics. No, I don't think they did change the dynamics between Lanfear and Rand now. But like what I remember, it was like that Lanfear as Celine, she was kind of guiding Rand a little bit, like saying, "Oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or we should go here, or we should go there." And in the TV show, there is nothing that she's doing that is anyway I would call it a mentorship, or like she's just trying to see how close he can get from Louis in terms of personality. That seems, she in this episode alone she mentioned twice, "Oh, you just like Louis when you do this or whatever." No?
Yeah.
So they are changing a little bit that in the books she is kind of not teaching, but she's pointing the way where Rand should go. And in the series, they are bargaining. So Rand comes to her if he needs something, and she goes, "Oh, you're trying to manipulate me. Ha ha! I really like that."
Yeah. Yeah, and that is something that is a difference. And even the way that they're traveling through one of those portal worlds, aren't they? Isn't that where he first meets Celine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the other thing, is because I got some feedback last week from a guy who said that those stones that we saw in season 1 and season 2 have been translated by some fan, and they seem to be mile markers, so they're not portal stones. However, is this thing that we saw with Matt in the mirror, is this as close to a flicker as we're going to get?
I was thinking that actually, because you have been asking me about flicker if I thought that we would.
Because I honestly didn't think we were going to get it in the way. But I've also heard Rafe or read somewhere about Rafe saying something that some of Yosha's best acting is when he's in a prosthetic. Now that to me would be a flicker. So
we kept talking about this, and like you asked me, and I said I don't know, and I also didn't know how could they do like the fight scene, if it's going to be a little bit cheesy, and you said probably, and the same thing I felt, flicker, but It's actually quite. They kind of did something similar in the first season with Egwene, where Rand goes to see a possible life with her.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And right now they did something also similar with Matt, with the whole thing. Oh, you can see you can see your past lives here.
Yeah.
So they certainly established that it can be done,
Right.
and how they do it. So if they did, so it looks likely right now, I would say, because
Okay.
I'm on the fence, to be honest, but it seems likely.
Yeah. I think that's logical to say, well, they have established this kind of alternate stuff already, so it's very
Yeah.
possible that it could happen. I just don't know how they can make it play in the story without the portal stone, right? That's the thing that's weird to me, because the portal stone is literally traveling on another plane. And I understand like the ways is a different plane, skimming is a different plane, but they're void planes essentially,
Mhm.
as opposed to these, which were much more like Tel and Riyadh, which are, in a way, they have actual mirrored representations in whatever world that we're living in. So,
Well, there is a way that you can do, and that they already established, because that's how Red fights Ishamael in the first season.
okay.
Ishamael makes this illusion, and here they put like Matt. Matt is not a channeler, so maybe that's why there is the whole T thing. I saw
Yeah.
people saying that she could be a Tiangriel. I don't know, something that would help Matt go into this stage to actually be able to go
Okay.
where Ishmael wants to go. So
Okay.
maybe Flicker will happen in this context of Rand and Ishmael fighting, and while the whole world watches. But we don't know what's going on inside their heads, if it makes sense.
Well, that's the other thing, because I wanted to talk about this prophecy. The dragon above Tommen's head, shall he proclaim himself, bannered across the sky in fire. Now, in the books, it's only worded slightly different. Above the watchers, shall he proclaim himself, bannered across the sky in fire. So it's essentially the thing that Varen says about Rand, that Moiraine wants Rand to declare himself as the Dragon Reborn. So stage one is Rand and his friends acknowledging it themselves. That's book one. Book two is the world becoming aware, but people don't start to follow him until he comes to Tyr in book three, right? But I'm wondering if they will, and again, I hate to be such a downer about this, but I'm wondering if they're just going to eliminate most of the Tyr storyline so that they can get Calendor later if they need to. But they don't necessarily need it. And you're already into a third season, and if you would still have to bring in Tyr stuff, that's still just book three. That's just a season to a book relationship. Even if you skip ahead,
they need to go further than that.
Yeah,
yes,
we know that Perrin is going to be in the Two Rivers probably in season three, which is book four stuff. And we figure, the way I figured it is, if we skip over this Tyr stuff now, Rand can head straight towards Rordian. So that just means that they would just skip over that Tyr part. And then if it happens that Rand needs Calendor later on, then he can come back then and get it. I know it kind of screws things up a little bit, but they've got to pick up the stories on this, or they have to drop some major storylines, which is possible also for like Nynaeve and Elaine, and this Nynaeve and Elaine essentially have the same the same adventure like twice in a row in the books that you're going to be reading pretty soon. So, I mean, there are differences, of course, but they essentially have something that could be combined, and you don't have to have both of those storylines. I'm just really weirded out, especially with the fact that there hasn't been a renewal beyond the season 3 filming, I'm worried. I hope that this show is doing well. It says it was #1 in like 97 countries for a little while on Amazon's rankings. But I
Yeah.
don't know what Amazon, Amazon doesn't release numbers. I guess they're going to have to start to with the WGA.
But the thing is, I didn't understand that back then, why the streamers were not releasing. I figured it has to do because they don't need to release. No, it's not like the audience numbers. They matter much more for in that sense. They matter much more for open TV because of the ads. So how much they would sell that, how much it would cost for that a really popular TV show, how much you could sell that spot for a company to advertise on. So
Well, and that's the other thing to talk about.
Yeah,
is
that's
the Amazon
my mind,
model may be changing.
But then I figured with the strike, then it's much more complicated because it's basically about residuals.
Right.
That's why they don't release the numbers. They don't want to pay people. They don't want to say, hey, this is how much. So Amazon, actually, the Prime Video program is just an add-on. It's not the main source of revenue. It's just like something that
what they're hoping is people will pay for the Prime membership for like the free shipping and the discounts and that kind of thing. And that was the original model. But now they're coming back to the model of, okay, well, you're getting this as an additional bonus anyway. Yes, you're paying for the free shipping and everything. And we're just throwing this on. So we're going to start putting ads on it. Now you can pay a little more if you want those ads off. That's the way I understand the new model to be. Which is
they have a mixed model. They have things that you can buy. They have other channels that you can pay more for. But what I'm saying, it's not like Amazon Prime is not like Netflix. What Netflix does is streaming. That's what they do. They come.
But it does cost a lot of money to make a show like this. So that's where.
Yeah. But when I was covering Rings of Power, there was like the whole discussion, which is like, oh my God, is it a failure? It's not a failure. What is going on? They don't release the numbers. The numbers were good, but not that good. What it is. What happened is they were using the series to raise the subscriptions numbers in other countries other than the United States, because they reach a plateau and they figure, well, we need to find a way to convince people to buy the Prime subscription, and the Rings of Power wasn't fun. And in this sense, they, according to the metrics, the numbers, it was the series already got paid just for that. So
that's an awful, considering how much they paid Tolkien's estate for those rights. I hope that they made some of that money back, because that was an astronomical amount.
That's the thing, that nowadays you cannot talk success only numbers. There are other metrics like engagement of fans in the social media, etc., etc.
You're talking about all these things that you don't do, Priscilla. How do you know this stuff? You're so smart. You don't participate in social media. How do you know about all this stuff? Engagement.
But
I don't know what engagement.
But I'm not a streamer. I do this for fun, for hobby. A streamer needs engagement, apparently, I'm told. So that's what I'm saying. So, for instance, like House of the Dragon in engagement was great because they were releasing like Sunday, and it comes like with a brand like Game of Thrones, and Rings of Power they were releasing at Friday, so they just had like two. So this whole discussion is a little bit, and I don't know anything what's going on at Wheel of Time. So when they said, okay, they already renewed for the third season, when they were filming second season, I reckon, oh, that's a good thing.
That's a good sign.
And and people are like now talking about fourth season and what is going on. So I don't know how they do that. What are we going to expect them to always renew 2 seasons and 2 seasons? How does it work?
Right. That's a good question, and it can be concerning. Or it, you can just say, well, it'll happen when it'll happen, or it won't. At the rate that they're going, though, if they've got even if they're planning the max of 8 seasons, That's 16 years, and we were only through 2 seasons. So I've got 12
don't-
years more. I may not be alive by the time they finish this.
I think it's undoable to do 8 seasons in the pace that they are doing. They
at
have
the pace
COVID.
that they are doing it, I agree.
Yeah, they had the COVID, and now we have the strikes.
strike.
It's also affecting House of Dragon. It's also affecting Rings of Power, like these big shows. Foundation, which is a show that I really like, it was also affected. And Foundation, they have like the showrunner already said they have plans for 4 seasons, 6 seasons, and 8 seasons. So they have these installments. I don't know if the Wheel of Time has this too. Like they have a plan to work in 5 seasons, they have a plan to work in 7 seasons, a plan to work in 8 seasons. I think it would be nice if they had that, because it's a fail-safe. We don't know the numbers. We don't know if they are going to do it, but they have 14 books, so to go. It's a lot. Are you enjoying how they are doing like the Aviendha storyline? You said you are, huh?
Oh, the Aviendha storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to have her introduced the same way, but I guess that is a good way to bring her forward. And then now they've gone back and they said, well, if you didn't like the way we introduced Aviendha, here's the way she's introduced in book 3. So, they've covered all of their bases there, but did it really advance the plot in any way other than the fact that they walked through some sand and saw Falme and were amazed by a bay? That's the only issue that I have with it. You do see hand talk, which is great. And I don't know how much of that. Yeah, you read about hand talk in book 3.
But I asked because like they're attaching her to Perrin, and I feel that Perrin's storyline, it doesn't, nothing really happens. It's more about world building so far, right?
Right.
And
yeah, they haven't faced anything other than the White Cloaks. But
yeah, and he's such in the books I'm reading, he's such a huge character. He's like in terms of like we have his point of view in many things.
Right. Yeah.
And
I will tell you that there are whole books where you don't see him at all. That's the way with all of the characters. There are sometimes whole books where you don't see him at all.
And there are books that you just see them, right?
And there are books where they are the primary source of the story. So.
Yeah, I know that there are like 2 books later on that's like very Perrin centered, and people complain a little bit about it.
Book 4 is very Perrin centric. Trying to think, I don't think there's much of him in book 5. There's a little bit of him in Lord of Chaos, book 6. Yeah, but there's times that like Nynaeve and Elaine completely go away.
In a TV series, they cannot afford that, so that's how they're going to combine many books later on in one season, right?
I suppose so.
They have to, yeah. So you like
let's even talk about this. Let's talk about this. Elaine and Nynaeve collared a Suldam, but the show had already said it wants to be completed by someone who is a magic wielder. Yet the television show hasn't said anything really about the Suldam being magic wielders. And if I recall right, in the books, that's kind of a gradual reveal. Do you remember anything about that in book 2? Because I don't remember anything about that in book 2. I think it's more like book 4 or 5 when we find out that Suldams have the potential. They haven't necessarily, they're kind of like some of those novices that get cast out or whatever. They have the potential to wield the one power. And so that's why this collar works so well. And maybe the show will do that. Maybe they'll reveal it eventually. And then you can look back at this season and you can say, oh,
I think it will be like that. I think it will be like that.
Okay.
Like you will look, like for show only, they will like, okay, now I see why. Yeah. Then it would make sense. Because but anything that has to do with Seanchan is a little bit triggering to talk about it.
Okay. Well, we won't
Right.
talk about it then. I just wanted to.
No.
thought
I'm
it was
just saying,
cool.
like, because
It was great to see Elaine swing a knock somebody out. I loved that.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I say that because like this episodes, any episode where they appear, you feel a little bit icky.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, it makes you angry. It makes you heartbroken.
Yeah. I don't know. It's immediately the energy drops. You feel like, oh God, these evil people, because they are so, not only they are evil, but in the series, they are so annoying. They are so stupid, like they live in a contradiction and they are so sure. It's like, it's all wrong. So I don't want to spend much time looking at all wrong. And I know where the storyline goes, especially when it concerns Matt, which is something that I'm always like, okay, he is such a beloved character.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will love him. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, with a series that has so many books, it's really difficult to keep all the details, right? I don't even try.
I'm living proof. I'm an idiot. My mind's. I'm just a babbling idiot most of the time when it comes to this stuff. So
I'm not halfway through it. I'm not even halfway through it, and I already
barely a third of the way through it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or a fifth of the way through it. Pardon me.
I'm already like, I'm not going to learn all the names. I'm terrible with the names.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn all the names. I already know
that. Is that you don't have to. There will be names that you will remember. You'll remember Cadswain. You'll remember, Aviendha. You'll remember Bane. You'll remember Chiad.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Gaul is always my favorite. He's my favorite male IU. And you've met him already. You.
Which one? Which one is your favorite character?
My favorite book character?
Yeah.
That depends from book to book, actually, because there are times when I just want to throttle Elaine, and then there are times where she can do no wrong.
Okay.
There are times. Most of the time, I want to throttle Rand, but that's just my Rand hate.
Yeah, but Rand is very annoying in the books.
I have to agree. Especially in the early books. One of the things that I do like, as long as we're talking about differences between book and show, is they're really graduating Rand up to listening to Moiraine a lot faster. Because in those, even on the way all the way up through book 5, 6, Rand really just doesn't want anything to do with the Aes Sedai. He doesn't. I'm not going to say anything. You probably already know, but I'm not going to say anything. There is an event that happens that makes him really start to suspect that none of the Aes Sedai are going to work for him, and he kind of forms his own Aja of males. So anyway, I've rambled enough. If there's anything else you want to talk about, let's do it now. But I'm going to get out of here otherwise.
Oh, actually, I had an amazing observation to make, but I forgot. Because that's what happens in old age. You forget things.
Thanks for sticking with us, Swifties, because, we're right in your demographic. We love that you are Swifty book readers. You probably read these books swiftier than me. And I'm at a loss. I'm at Musical Concepts on Twitter if you want to reach me personally, or at Bust Blockbuster on, Dave, X Twitter. Priscilla, you can find her on her YouTube channel and leave comments on those. Priscilla TV1 on YouTube. Take care.
send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com and find all back episodes and other information at mattsaudioblog.com. Part of Double P Media, doublepmedia.com.